Alright guys, today we're taking a look at the best and worst armor sets in Black Myth Wukong. A lot of them actually have secret mechanics or even secret upgrades that massively buff them. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Coming right up, we have possibly one of the coolest looking armor sets that's also in a desperate need of a buff. So this is the non-pure armor set, which you get from defeating Bajie in Chapter 4. But this also comes with a very interesting mud stain mechanic. Essentially, whenever you de-transform back either from a spell transformation or from a spirit transformation, you're going to see your character physically getting stained by mud, which is also indicated by this darker shade of color. And this is going to power up the 2 and the 4 set bonus mechanics. So the 2 set bonus gives you a damage reduction buff when you get stained by that mud, and the 4 set bonus increases your might recovery rate. However, there are a couple of huge drawbacks over here. On one side, the mud stains barely last for no more than a few seconds, 4 or 5 give or take. And second of all, you get a massive movement debuff, so you will move very slowly and your dodges are also going to be way less effective. But you do get a slight bonus on the greaves right here, so this is going to provide basically all actions costing no stamina when de-transforming back or exiting spirit skills. And if you want to go with spirit buffs or to just buff your transformation, I think that there are better options, specifically once you reach the first shrine in Chapter 4. So there's actually one of these armor sets right here, the golden embroidered armor set, which is much better at buffing up your spirits. Specifically, the 2 set bonus gives a considerable attack buff shortly after using a spirit skill or using a vessel, so this works also on your healing charges. And the 4 set, critical hits and defeats grant a small amount of chi, so this literally means that you can cast your summons a lot more often. Plus, Mask also makes successful hits from spirit skills to give a massive focus upon reverting back. So this is not too bad, not too shabby. It can carry you, especially if you stumble upon some really good summons, especially like that Frost Bat, but also like the starting ones are really great. However, if it were me, I wish that some of these buffs were added to that non-pure armor instead, and the golden one got redesigned with something different. Like, we have 2 ones reverting to summons, so I'm not sure exactly why that's the case. So those were spots 10 and 9. The next one comes up to number 8, which is the ochre armor. This one also comes with a unique mythical bonus, which only unlocks once you fully max it out, looking much more menacing and cooler as a result, but also getting a bonus in the process. So this is going to be only a 3 set piece, so the only bonus on it is going to make decoys and duplicates getting cloaked in a yellow wind, though that looks more like sand, granting them considerable damage reduction. The arm guard also buffs critical hit chance for a short duration when consuming a focus point, and the mythical bonus upgrade is going to make it so that when you hit enemies with a 4 focus point heavy attack, it's going to also summon a clone. So all of those pieces need to be activated to mythical quality so that that bonus becomes available. But I really like the mythical bonus because it will spawn a clone for every single enemy that gets hit by the 4-point heavy. So assuming that you can line up a few of them, every single hit is going to just spawn another really cool duplicate. So this can actually make a very viable Pack of Many / Shadow Clone build, especially if you go with the full skill tree and even more so get Volition, which also makes them cast a lot of your own spells, including Immobilize, so you can chain cast a few of those on the same boss, or well, your clones will do it for you. The same clones or duplicate that you get from the mythical bonus will behave just the same, though they also may be a little bit more resistant than the regular ones. Still need some testing, but all of them are useful. However, it's very limited for a few reasons. On one side, because the mana cost is very high, they also tend to get absolutely destroyed despite the damage reduction, and especially against enemies with a ton of AoE. And oftentimes the clones, for some reason, just stand there doing nothing, especially if the boss doesn't move. So yeah, this is something that I've seen triggering quite a bit. Now at number 7 we have the Centipede set, which is one of my favorite, and even though it's only this low in the ranking, don't get confused, it can still make for a very fun build to play with. And this is something that you can craft once you reach the Woods of Amber Ashen Pass 1 shrine, and there are a couple of bonuses here all dealing with poison effects. So the 2 set bonus massively reduces continuous poison damage that you receive, and the 4 set bonus significantly increases attack while you suffer from poison. Also, the chest piece comes with a moderate increase in attack shortly after defeating an enemy. Now, the reason I love this so much is because you can combine this with the Spider Celestial Staff from the same map and also the Death Stinger Soak, which is going to be the on-demand way in which you can apply poison upon yourself. This is going to then trigger both the bonuses on the Centipede Staff as well as the Spider Celestial Staff. So now when you perform 4 combo hits, heavy attacks against targets, you will also cause that Poison Bane immediate build-up upon them, which immediately triggers the poison on the targets. It's going to deal very good damage from my testing, but you can also go with that Centipede Staff alternative, which instead is going to require you to poison the target, but at the advantage that you get much better healing. Either of these can work. Again, decently good one, especially if you also couple this with the Violet Hail transformation if you want to have even more poison in the mix. We're going to talk about unlocking this very specific zone where you can get all of these items in a different video. Now at number 6, we have the Bronze Monkey, as we talked about this before, craftable after you defeat Elder Jinchi, pretty much at the secret temple you unlock in chapter 1. So this is still an all-around great middle of the pack set. Unfortunately, it doesn't come with any unique mythical upgrades or special effects, but its 2-set and 4-set bonuses are really good, especially if you like using Immobilize. So the 2-set is going to deal additional damage when you crash immobilized targets, and then 4-set, when crashing immobilization on the enemy, it also massively reduces the cooldown for immobilization. Plus, we also have the Arm Guard. When performing light attacks following Evanescence, directly trigger finishers of light attack combos. So the biggest benefits, of course, come from the fact that you can reduce drastically that cooldown on the immobilization, but only if you crash it. So for that, you're going to hear an audible effect. Plus, you also need to deal enough damage. That is why I suggest using heavy attacks when a boss especially is immobilized. You also, of course, deal more damage on the crash, so it's overall worth it. However, for the Arm Guard bonus, it's very iffy because you have to absolutely immobilize an enemy at the exact moment of its attack for the Evanescence bonus to trigger, which is bonus damage when enemies are immobilized during an attack. So even if you move, for example, and still triggered it properly, sometimes the combo finisher doesn't trigger or the animation for it does not. But otherwise, very good middle of the pack set. Which brings us to number 5 on the list, and this is also similar to it, the Gale Guard armor set, which is craftable upon defeating the Stone Vanguard boss in Fright Cliff Chapter 2. So this is basically the perfect dodge alternative from the previous Bronze Monkey, except it does have a mythical bonus, and it does look really awesome and has a very awesome bonus effect. So the 2 set piece perfect dodges give a considerable amount of focus. 4 set piece perfect dodges slightly reduce cooldown for all spells, and finally the mythical bonus, again if you upgrade all pieces to mythical, perfect dodging 3 consecutive times within a brief moment also recovers a moderate amount of mana. So this basically just powers up your perfect dodges, which you should rely on anyway and should be doing all the time regardless. Plus you also get a reduction in cooldown of spells, you gain that additional mana, you also gain focus. So if you play well, this is going to reward you really well, and it looks really amazing in my opinion. Again, really good option to have. But we're getting closer and closer to the best ones on the list. So at number 4, the next one is going to be the Iron Tough armor set. Not only does this look awesome, it's also given to you via a very cool challenge upon defeating Yin Tiger at the Zodiac Village, assuming that you unlock that area. We already covered that in a previous video. This is basically your go-to set if you really enjoy the rock solid deflection, because the 2 set is going to massively buff the focus that you get from the Nick of Time effect from it, and the 4 set bonus, successful rock solid deflections, considerably reduce the cooldown on rock solid. And then the gauntlet's significant damage buff for the next attack following a successful rock solid deflection, which already gets buffed by so many of the perks in its own skill tree. So the benefits here are obviously very big. You're basically walking with a permanent or almost permanent 50% cooldown reduction on the rock solid, especially if you pull off successful deflections. You're going to see that upon doing that, your entire deflection cooldown is basically removed by half. So it triggers very often. You can use it very often in combat to gain all of those bonuses, including to the focus, and again, damage buff after it. It's pretty much everything that you need. And its defenses are not too shabby either. It's not the best in the pack, but you both look cool. You have the best ability in the game, or one of the best abilities, and you get to buff that to extreme ends. Now, before we move on to the 3 finalists, there's a couple of bonuses that I want to talk about, specifically the Yaksha/Demon set, which you saw me using in some of the previous videos. So this is from Chapter 5 when you defeat the last boss over there, but this comes with some very unique effects. However, it's also the squishiest of all the sets in the game. So the 2 set bonus makes almost all Pillar Stance combos, as well as Sweeping and Churning Gale, to deal additional damage, and the 4 set significantly increases damage dealt, but also the damage taken. And there's also the mask bonus, significant increase in attack when your HP is lower. So in terms of the 4 set, you basically get a plus 25% damage buff and a minus 28% damage received debuff when you have this on. So this is actually a massive drawback, but it's manageable if you have enough, for example, defenses, if you can compensate with extra damage buffs, or even more so with extra damage reduction. But by far the coolest effect of this, and one that's also super unique, is this really awesome impalement effect that you see when you perform a Sweeping Gale. So you do need to use Pillar Stance with this. Most of your Pillar Stance moves also get damage buffs, but when you perform Sweeping Gale in particular, you're always going to summon some of these really awesome spikes. The area of effect is really good. You're also going to get that bonus damage from them, so overall you're going to melt enemies faster. Plus the fact that you can reach some really high damage via the 25% damage buff. Now, squishiness is going to be a factor, but it looks really awesome and it can be worth it if you can mitigate some of that damage. But with that out of the way, it's time to go over the 3 best options, and this was very hard to choose between because all of these 3 are very strong and excel at different things. So here is the 3rd spot. That's going to go to the Bull King armor set. This is from the Bishui Secret Cave in Chapter 5, in which you have to defeat 5 enemy cards during a specific questline over there. So a video will drop on that really soon. But the 2 set bonus is going to make taking damage temporarily granting you moderate amounts of defense, and the 4 set disables perfect dodges but grants tenacity when health is below half. Also, the mask gives moderate focus upon taking damage, even more when you get staggered. And the benefits, biggest of them all over here, is the fact that in this armor set, you're basically uninterruptible. Almost nothing can make you flinch. Even like most of the attacks, 99% of the boss moves will simply not deter you at all. You can just continue your regular attack chain, even drink during it. You're still going to get the damage, but you're going to, be able to also unleash damage back. So this is going to make everything pure face roll because it comes with the highest defense of all armors in the game. So all of its pieces are at least 20, even 50% higher than other mythical or equivalent. Plus it gains another about 100 defense as you get hit by enemies when wearing it. However, there are some major drawbacks, and the biggest is that this is literally a new game plus type of armor, as you can't get all the resources in the first playthrough to craft more than maybe 1 or 2 pieces. And that's because you will need Bull King Iron Horns, and you only get 3 per playthrough, at least from my knowledge. So unless you find a different way, let me know down below, but I was only able to get 3 of them from that Bishui Secret Cave. And even if you did, there's going to be the problem with the golden threads, and other legendary crafting mats will be a bottleneck as well. Meanwhile, at number 2, we have the Pilgrim's armor set, and I know what some of you are about to say. I previously claimed this was the best armor in the game, and I still think it is. However, for today's ranking, I also took ease of use and ease of crafting into account. And Pilgrim unfortunately uses a ton of resources to upgrade this pretty much from green quality all the way to mythic, where it truly starts to shine. But even though it costs quite a bit and you will consume a lot of resources that span over the course of the entire game, you gain this from level 1, and it comes with some of the best bonuses in the game. Its 2 set bonus is going to increase your sprint speed, meanwhile the 4 set bonus is going to make each second during sprinting to increase your attack by 10%, stacking up to 10 times. So it's literally free 100% bonus attack by just running with this thing, which you're going to do all the time. But once you upgrade this to mythical quality, it gains a third and final buff, which is going to make sprinting to also gain a small amount of focus per second. So literally as you sprint, you both gain that extra focus per second and also the damage. So this literally means that every time you run into a combat, you're always going to be ready with the 3 points or at least a couple of points and also that bonus damage. So that's absolutely huge. It should be even better on New Game Plus, but there's a reason why the next one is number one. And that is basically convenience. The next armor is just given to you by finishing the game, or at least going into the final chapter of the game and defeating the 5 bosses that drop each individual piece. So I'm not going to spoil anything from chapter 6, but I will say this. The Heaven's Equal armor set actually doesn't really have any equal in the game currently, so that's really funny to say, but basically it comes with some really awesome bonuses. The 3-set bonus is going to make casting spells to moderately increase your critical hit chance, and then when you do critical hits, it also slightly reduces cooldown for all spells, so it's basically a way that it feeds itself with these 2 buffs. Plus the Jingu Bang staff, which you get as a 5th set bonus. This is the highest attack rating staff in the game and comes with probably the most useful unique effect. The gauge of the 4th focus point no longer depletes over time, and it also comes with the best bonuses to secondary stats. You gain a ton of critical hit chance via this, also extra mana, stamina and HP, so overall very good set with a very good amount of defense as well. And like I said, the biggest factor here is convenience. You don't need to craft anything, upgrade anything. Once you get it, it's yours to absolutely wreck. Now, technically, there's one more armor set, which is kind of disjointed, and you get its pieces from 2 different bosses. So that's going to be the Venomous Sting insect armor, of which, yes, there totally is a chest piece. It's this one, and you get it from the secret area that you unlock in Chapter 4. Again, we're going to cover that in a future video. Basically, this is going to make your medicine, granting considerable focus, and also increases duration of medicine effects. And the chest piece considerably increases damage dealt by all poison inflicting attacks. Though I will say this, as far as looks, it's awesome, but as far as these bonuses, it's maybe not the best. So as good as it looks and as useful as medicine and consumables are, I would definitely use all of these 3 bonuses here and maybe get something else, maybe something that provides more damage or other ways to deal with enemies. Anyway, that's about it with the video. Let me know down below in the comments which one of these armors is your favorite. And if you found this video useful, a thumbs up and a subscribe would definitely go a long way. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.